All right. Thanks everybody for showing up virtually. Thanks for keeping your distance from me. Hey, before we get going, since this is a thoroughly remote affair this time, just a couple ground rules. If there's noise going on in your background, please go ahead and mute yourself. And then feel free to unmute yourself to talk, to discuss. This is, after all, a focused discussion. And I think that's about it. If you did not get the link in the email to the content that we will be viewing, you can see it with the live meeting, but you can also just pop into the chat right now, click on that little speech bubble, and I pasted the link there for all the content. So feel free to use that as you will. All right, I think that's everything that we needed to cover to get going. So we are jumping into 2020 in an interesting way. I know we got one tournament under our belt. Big thanks to Keith for making that happen that weekend. And then, you know, you give Keith one weekend and the whole thing falls apart.
That's what happens.
Yeah. No, yes, tournaments, everything countrywide is worldwide is falling apart. I mean, if the Olympics are pushed back, you can imagine our little weekend World Cup is at risk of getting pushed back as well. But, you know, I figured we'd still have training available. At some point, soccer will resume, and y'all will need to be good referees. So hopefully we can keep working toward that together. Obviously, we cannot do our field sessions right now, but we are going to try to do more of this online training, maybe 2 a month, to keep things coming. I know some of you, like me, are still working. You work in the critical infrastructure that's supposed to do just that. And some of you, depending on how you view it, fortunately or unfortunately, are finding yourselves with a lot of time at home. So it's for that latter group that we hope to create this content, this training, and make it available. And of course, we will be uploading it to YouTube. We do record it, so you can watch it later if the time doesn't work out for you. So try to make it as accessible as possible. That being said, this is the first focus discussion of the year. As very much that, it's a discussion. Let's talk once we get into it. But the theme for the year is, was that a good idea? For those who haven't been around Team 3 for a while, you know, we kicked off our first couple of years just mentoring, just be good referees was kind of the theme. And we said, let's try something. Let's see if we can do a focused approach and carry it throughout the year through our on-field training and our play of the fortnight, our focus discussions, our mentoring. And, you know, it seems like it's a good way to get traction, at least keep focused throughout the year, and help set those long-term goals that we're always piping on about to complement the short-term goals. So yeah, we did the AR. I think that was our first one. And then we had refereeing with personality. I believe we had proactive refereeing. So this year, it's was that a good idea? And what we're getting at is something not too far off that famous Ken Aston quote of refereeing is thinking. But pretty much, it's even, honestly, this just dovetails perfectly. But in a time of isolation, we get to be self-critical, introspective, retrospective. And it's the same thing you can do on the soccer field as well. Look at what you did. I got. Hopefully, this isn't news for you. You're going to make mistakes. The good news is you will keep learning from those mistakes. If you're here, I think you're the kind of referee who's going to keep learning from those mistakes. So that being said, let's ask ourselves, you know, okay, I just did something. Was that a good idea? Some people liked it, some people didn't. Why on both sides? But really what we need to start this off with, the whole reason we're asking ourselves that question is be good referees. Like I said, it was for our first couple of years, it was kind of our unnamed theme. Let's just do good refereeing. What are good referees? And this is where you all get to unmute yourselves.
Ones that care about the game, ones that want to make the right calls.
Okay.
Ones that care about the players as well, care about their welfare.
Right. Want to do the best they can do out there. With I always like to say that I'm just trying to have a great game like you are to the players. I'm just trying to make all the calls right, like you're trying to make all your passes, all your shots right.
I think a good referee is someone who's questioning their decisions and evaluating them and deciding if they could have possibly made a better decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're working to hone those skills, not just on the field, right? They're students of the game.
My mom says patience. Being
Patient.
patient. Yeah. Let the play unfold. See if you can give advantage or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Very true. Yeah. And there are things we can do before the game too, right? You can come into it prepared. You can know who's playing, know the laws, know the rules of that specific competition, be it a tournament, your regular fall play, area, section championships, Western State game. Yeah, good referees do all these things, and as you see in this group of FIFA referees here, you see some engaging faces, some questioning faces. Over on the right, you see Brian Hall pulling up a player, showing some good faith there, respect across the board. These referees are professionals, just like those with whom they work. It's professional to professional, and that respect is important to being a good referee. It helps you, motivates you to come into the game prepared to do a good job, and keeps you in check the whole way through. Keeps you patient, keeps you focused, keeps you calm. We have all sorts of opportunities for success for good referees. Let's run through some of those. What are some that you all think about? Opportunities where things can go right.
Opportunities where things can go right. I would say that almost everything's an opportunity for something to go right, and also to go wrong.
Yeah.
But when you're close to play and you see something, you see something that happens or doesn't happen, and you're able to assess it because you're the person right there. That's a chance for something to go right, where others might see something differently, but you're close.
I think coming into the game, knowing that you've done your best to know the laws is an opportunity for success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, knowing the laws really gives you I mean, being very familiar with the laws and continuing to review them really gives you a chance for success.
Now more so than ever, right?
Correct.
Those of us that have been around for a while, I'm coming up on my 20th year of refereeing. We're having to unlearn a whole lot of things that we learned real well for over a decade, for some of us for multiple decades.
Right.
Yeah.
Luckily, I never learned anything until about 2 years ago, so it's good for me.
It was apparent. It was a good investment in the present. I think we hit on some important
also
things there. Go ahead.
One more thing, approaching the game as a team also gives you better opportunity for success.
Very true. That's actually one I don't have up here. I like that. Yeah, we go from the pregame preparation, which is everything from making sure the field's safe to the the rules competition. There's the warm up. Let's just call it like it is. Your typical AYSO referee is a middle-aged man, and if that middle-aged man needs to run with 18-year-old soccer players who are warmed up, it's quite a disadvantage to not be warmed up. So some of us don't have that disadvantage right out the gate. Some of us have a greater disadvantage. Warming up, you'll never hear me stop singing the praises of warm-ups. Let's talk about first contact. What does first contact mean to everybody here?
So I think that's a really underrated. Well, I don't know if it's underrated or underappreciated, but I don't underappreciate it because I've been on this in this group for so long, and I can tell you my first contact has evolved incredibly over the last 4 years, and it is a
why?
Why? Because I think initially I was kind of I wasn't formal about it, and I don't mean being formal in the sense that being stuffy or strict. I didn't take the same approach each time, and now it's like, you know what? I'm going to get out there. I'm going to meet the coach. I'm going to introduce myself and my team. I'm going to make a good first contact in terms of, hey, coach, my name's Keith. I'll be your referee today, and these are my ARs, and what's your name? And I make that very friendly and as open as I possibly can be. Oh, hey, do you have your card? Oh, I don't have it right now. That's great. We'll check them in. If you can go get it, that'd be great. So you start out with a real kind of collegial, an approach, and very open and very friendly. And I do my best to try to really, really remember that name of that coach so that I can call them by name during the game. And then that's that first contact. And then when you talk about that first 5, I used to do a first 5. Now I do about a first 1.5. And because, I think that came from criticism in a good way from Team 3, which was, hey, what are you telling these guys that they don't already know? You're killing them right now. You're detracting from your credibility every extra second that you're out there telling them and giving them instructions about the game. They know how to play, back it up, give them credit for being smart players, and move along.
Especially in the games we do.
Especially in the games we do.
That's a key thing to respecting their background and their preparation.
Correct. So that's how it's changed over the years for me.
From a coach's point of view, as a coach, my first contact with the referee is usually my closest contact with the referee for the entire game, because as a coach, I'm stuck on the touchline, and I make a lot of opinions and assessments in that first contact.
It's critical.
I agree too. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Go ahead.
I make a lot of assessments too. Yes, as a coach. This is Matt. Hi, everyone.
Oh, hey.
I'm
Short
just
and
agreeing
sweet.
with
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Yeah. First contact. We see too many referees are doing what they've seen, right? I'm not going to blame them for coming up with this on their own, but it's pervasive that there are these long lectures, which will have their place. They'll have their place first couple games of the 10U season, right? These kids are learning how to play soccer. You can help them understand, field some questions, but beyond that, these kids know what they're doing. they don't need to spend a lot of time there. Show your respect. That's a great opportunity for success. You walk up to the coach. Hey, coach, how's it going? Respect to the coach. You get the coach's name. Keith says he remembers it. I write it down if I can because I got a lot of things to remember during the game. And then sometimes you see me pull out. Yeah. And I'll check. I go, I'm having trouble with this coach. What's this coach's name? Okay. Build some rapport there, right? If it's a tournament, ask them how the tournament's been for them. You can commiserate with them if they haven't won a game, or you can congratulate them if they're on a roll. Yeah, strong first five is another one. This is a classic. Hit that first whistle hard for the kickoff, and introduce your control pretty early on in the game before you introduce too much flow. Let them know you're under control. Yeah.
For the strong first five, I understand that you meant the game, but I was also talking about that pregame where you're introducing yourselves to your
5 minutes is too long.
players.
Yeah.
but right, and it is too long. It should be like 30 seconds to a minute, and moving on. But yes, the strong first five in the beginning of the game too. That also, it's funny. A former James Boyd, if we remember James. I remember I used to do a pretty weak little whistle to start the game, and I remember seeing James do it, and then I watched Premier League refs, and I'm like, we're going to get a huge whistle at the beginning of the game and a big strong arm to start the game, and I love it. It's like, let's go, we're going. And I mean, I'm not on camera, but you can see me. It's like, push that arm out there, let's go. And it's a big deal. We're starting the game. Let's have fun.
Definitely. It matters. Yeah. Even if it's your fifth game of the day and you're worn out, you got to let them know, make it look like it matters.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about injuries. We can see in the top right hand here, looks like an attacker and a goalkeeper collided and they're not even off the ground yet. And the referee's getting someone in. Injuries are a big opportunity for success, right? Show concern for our number one focus. We got three main points of focus, right? Help me out here. They're on every AYSO referee test.
The player.
Fun, fair,
no.
Safe.
There we go. Safe is our first priority. Fair is our second priority, and fun. At the professional level, it's more entertainment because entertainment puts dollars into pockets. So show concern for that safety. It's even more important at the youth game, right? Because this is somebody's precious baby. So show that concern. They're very invested in that, in a way that is never quite matched by someone that's a multi-million-dollar contract. It's still just not the same level of concern. So you got to show that you care. That will go far. Show some empathy. You don't have to change your calls, but show some empathy there. Free kicks are a great opportunity for success, right? Whether they're ceremonial or quick, you gotta know. See if you judge it correctly. Halftime, Go ahead.
Do you mind if we go back just quickly to injuries? Just one note to say, this is a thing that I repeat probably more to referees who do it, who make themselves targets. I remember Cindy saying this, and I love this. It's when you're attending to a player who's got an injury, you're on a string, and the string goes from you through the player to the coach. And as that coach gets nearer, you get further. and I think that's an incredibly useful tool for understanding where you want to be. Hey, you've called the coach on, they're attending to the player, you're watching the player. As they get closer, you're getting farther away because you're not going to be a target as you move away. I think and it has served me very, very well over the years. And it's a thing I always have in my mind when I've called the coach on. Get out of there.
Definitely.
You're not, and I think that is actually success, to get away from there and let him, because what they'll do is they'll focus on you instead of their player. And you don't want that. they need to take care of their player. So anyway,
they're never happy that their player's down.
No, and they're looking for something. So it's really a great kind of visual to keep in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. We've got the 4 key moments. And this is something I first heard as pretty much Brian Hall's, the core of Brian Hall's pregame. I'm sure he, for those who don't know, he was a dominant FIFA referee on the U.S. scene for some years. This may be more lore than fact, but it was said that he had a pregame that was pretty much, you got to get 4 things right. Does anyone know what those 4 things are that matter most to the game?
Offside.
Offside is one of them.
Penalty.
Penalty kicks is another.
Goals.
Ball in. A goal.
Goals. Very true.
All in and out of bounds? I don't know.
Send-offs.
Send-offs. Yes. So I think most of those are pretty obvious, right? A goal, well, I mean, that's how you win and lose soccer. Penalty kick is almost equivalent to a goal. The send-offs, the red cards, those can certainly impact the game. You're either playing with or against a handicap at that point. Why is offside so key? Why is offside something you really need to get right?
Because it can determine a goal or a goal that was awarded in a not a fair fashion.
Very true. If it's an unfairly won goal, it should never be awarded. So it's something you got to get right. It's ever so contentious.
Everything that happens
final
after
thing,
that, just like a ball in and out of bounds, everything that happens after that should not happen.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Final thing on here is the handshake, which is different depending on your context. AYSO has a pretty preset context where the de rigueur procedure is that the 2 teams line up and walk out and behave themselves, and everyone gives each other a high five, and then we're done. It's not always the case elsewhere, but does anybody see an opportunity for success there? Is the game over? Do we just shut off?
Well, currently there's no handshakes at all allowed. No, just joking.
Those lines.
I'd like to make a correction.
Yeah.
Currently, there's no soccer allowed.
Yes, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting when we come back. If we're still playing with our 6 feet barrier, the passing game will not be very critical. And yes, the handshakes will be difficult.
We're going to build 6 feet barriers on the field where it's going to be single touch soccer.
Yeah.
You got to pass into like grids.
No, the handshake is a critical time. Some of us have had the most action all game in the handshake. Most of us, nothing happens there, which is great. However, you all have been on our tournament circuit, and you know all too well you're going to see these coaches again, these players again, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can make that investment, make it pay off for you going forward. All right. Yeah. Those are some opportunities for success. Now, the way we achieve success is by correctly reading the game. So why does reading the game make itself so important? How is it so critical that we read the players, read the game?
Because it helps us get into the right position during play.
Are you looking at the slideshow ahead of time?
No, I'm a coach and a
Oh,
former player.
yeah, you know a thing or two. Spot on. Gets you in the right place, right time, doesn't it?
Man, some people can get it, you know.
And so as a coach, as a player, why does that matter? Having the referee in the right place, right time? Because it doesn't, as referees, we know that doesn't guarantee that you see what they want you to see.
No, but it gives you the best opportunity to see, to make sure that you make the proper judgment and see, obviously, play and be in front of play instead of being behind it.
It gives you a lot of credibility that the coach and the players are probably going to have more confidence in your call.
Very true. Something we don't really talk about until maybe the national course. There's this sliding scale of what's more important, getting the call right or making them think you got the call right. Both are very critical, because it doesn't matter getting the call right if you can't convince anybody, because in their minds you still got it wrong. And if you can get it wrong but convince everyone you got it right, you're some wizard. Maybe not the best practice, but kudos to you. How does reading the game affect our flow and control judgments? Well, let's start off with this. What is flow and control?
I think it's the dividing line between trifling infractions and those that need to be called. It's that dividing line, and it can slide around.
So what makes an offense something that needs to be called?
Well, I mean, we talk a lot about this. Are the players accepting the calls? Are they accepting the way the play is being managed? And I don't mean the way it's being called. I mean, managed is a larger concept in the game, right? You can manage the game without making calls, and then you might have to manage the game by making calls. And you know, how are the players handling that? And I think, you know, a lot of times you say, oh, players are they want this or they want that. Well, you know, if they want it, if they're asking for something, if it becomes clear that the game is not being managed properly, you're going to feel it. And if you're not managing it properly, that game is not being run well. So, you know, are you calling it too tight? There's a lot of beefs. There's a lot of players not happy. Are you calling it too loosely? Are you getting the other side of that? So to me, it's a fine line sometimes. A lot of games are pretty mellow, but it's those contested games where you know you have to be on top of it. Sometimes they're fine. Sometimes they're fine with that additional kind of, and then you're calling it too tight, and you realize that.
Yeah, we observe things as we read the game. We're in the right place to witness them. We observe things that impact our decision making, don't we? You know, like this players coming into a challenge, looking at the other player, not looking at the ball. You know, I need to get closer. I need to be vocal, prevent it.
This player is being targeted. I need to be aware of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so your decision making should be shaped by your read on the game. Right. Those of you who are good students will recall this from your advanced referee course. We're kind of sliding into a key part of that course right now. Go ahead and let's take a look at our referee factors. Now, what internal factors do you have that are going to impact which calls you make, which calls you don't make, where you position yourself. Yeah, what are some factors that impact how you read the game?
On the pace of the
Is
game and the skill level.
Okay. Yeah, those are definitely some things that the players do to show us how we need to call the game.
Right.
What are some internal things? We talked early on about the introspection of this, being self-critical. You know, you ever felt rattled in a game?
Oh yeah. And how many times have we heard the hi Charlie? How many times have we heard the statement like, "Hey, if that challenge made you cringe, maybe you should call that." Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're probably right in making that call, because we do that. We see something and we're like, "Ooh," and then you go, "Well, I don't know," and then the moment's gone. Like, maybe that was a good feeling and you want to go with it.
Yeah, true. Let's say you made an unpopular decision, whether it was a call people thought shouldn't be a call, or it was a non-call people thought should be a call. How does that impact you on the next few calls or non-calls?
Right. Yeah, that can be either emboldening or depressive. Like, maybe I want to back off a minute.
I think you can take that feedback that you just got and use that in your decision making and in reading the game. So let's say you feel,
Chandler,
okay, they didn't react well to that, so now I can take that information and figure out where I need to go next.
Yeah, I saw Chandler was unmuted. Did you have something to say?
It was me. I was going to say that I feel
Kristen.
timid sometimes if I make a wrong call. I'm scared to do, the next call. Could I get it wrong also, or is it going to be right, or what's the feedback going to be?
Refereeing would be so easy if we all made the right call, huh?
Yeah.
All the time.
Right.
Has anyone ever felt this fear of determining the outcome?
Yes.
You can see this manifest, especially with penalty kicks, right? Like, oh, was that enough? Especially 1-1 game, you're coming in the last few minutes, and will you make a penalty kick decision? It's tough because the event happened, and if you call it, you're giving a good opportunity to the kicking team. And if you don't call it, maybe you're taking away a good opportunity the kicking team deserved. And we've all felt this at some point, and some of us have even acted on it as less seasoned referees. The desire to equal out the punishment or even out the mistakes, right?
I think you hear that a lot. I think you hear that a lot, especially from fans. Oh, well, that call equalized that, and or hey, that. Well, we're good with that because that evened it out. But I think you want to kind of avoid that. That's a tough one because I think if we're conscientious, we're examining our calls, we're looking at the effects, and we're trying to we're again, I go back to what we talked about early on, which is, I, as a referee, people go, "Oh, you're biased, or you're this, or you're that," and I'm like, I actually will say to somebody who's can understand at the end of a game, "Oh, I was really rooting for red. I really wanted them to kind of, do good, or I like that team," but it has absolutely zero effect on my calls, because what I want to do as a referee is get every single call right. Can I do that? Who knows?
And
But that's my goal.
but yeah, making a correction call is not the way to get there, right?
That is not the way.
Logic.
Yeah.
That is absolutely not the way to get there. Now
How do
I
you
Yeah, that
define the
logic is
right
akin.
call?
Yeah, the logic is akin to saying two wrongs make a right, which,
right.
as I was raised, is not true. So,
But it,
I'd like
it
to-
plays heavily on me as a referee. When
it
early
does weigh
on,
on you.
yeah,
Mhm.
early on, if I make a call that I'm already, it takes me a minute to get back into the game because I'm still playing that back in my mind, and our decisions are so quick, and we have to really decide if we need to make that call that quickly, that if we make one call the whole game, it may impact it, so we have to get it right, and that's a tough one to swallow sometimes when you feel maybe you didn't.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the great segue, Matt. You were just feeding this thing right along. I love it.
All right.
Yeah. So we're into that next. We got to focus on that next decision, even though this one that we may have gotten wrong is playing back in our head again. And what helps as we teach you in the advanced course, there's a decision making process to stick to, just a way to work yourself through, and you see, there's not a lot of space here for me to put much of a process up, which is good news because your process has to happen within a split second. So they're not going to sit there and wait for you to write it out and write a pros and cons list on your next call. I believe just about everybody in attendance now has, I think I see one exception, but I believe just about everybody has attended the advanced referee course. Does anybody know the first step in the decision-making process?
Gather information.
Define the problem. I'll cut you slack on that one because I know you always have me teach this. Define the problem, right? Problem. So let's take a look at the ground here. All right, I got 2 players down. I need to make a decision on whether there's a Law 12 violation here, some sort of direct free kick, indirect free kick, misconduct defense. The second one is gather information and analyze the problem. So, as you've all heard in the advanced course, it's critical. There's a lot of information to take in. How are the players reacting? Is there an injury? What was sometimes, in some cases, we ask ourselves, what was the outcome of it? Because it could be trifling or doubtful if there was no significant outcome of it. And then you have to analyze this problem that you've defined. From there, we go ahead and we propose and evaluate options, which is hopefully you don't have too many. Hopefully it's call, no call. Some situations get more complicated. You can escalate from no call to a talking to making the call, to call plus misconduct, or call plus discussion with the player. So you have some options there, and then pretty quickly you need to decide which one you like, and go ahead and implement the solution. Everyone's waiting. It's been 0.2 of a second. Why haven't you made your decision yet? Go ahead and make a call and own it, because you're most likely not going to unmake it. So you might as well live with it. But how about we do this? I try to usually keep this to not more than half me teaching and then cutting into some videos of you all refereeing. So I've got 6 of those queued up right now. If there's any difficulty with streaming them, which I know occurs sometimes, especially currently as the world is overwhelming most of our online resources, in the chat and in the email inviting you to this event, there's a link to access those videos on your own accord, and they're numbered 1 through 6, and we're going through them in numerical order. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first one. You will not be hearing audio from me from the clip. Doesn't add a lot, but you can imagine. all the coaches and parents telling you how great a job you're doing refereeing. It's probably typically what you hear on the field. But let's go ahead and look through this one, the girls 19 match here. The ball's out for a throw-in. As it's about to come back in, the referee whistles. Hang on a sec. All right. So was that a good idea? What did we notice happening here? I'll give you a replay, a little VAR.
Player got. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. What are we seeing?
Well, she started to go kind of after the person who put her on the ground.
Right there.
And, Roy came over and decided to have a little talk with her, see if she's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
Yeah, she landed kind of hard.
And,
she looked agitated.
Yeah, she looked a little agitated, a little hard. She hit a little hard. You just want to let her know that he saw it. Is she okay? He's aware. Yeah, it was a good idea. Really a good idea.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think.
Is there anything anybody would have done differently there?
I'm going to talk to the other player. Also, it looked like maybe an arm was raised up there in an attempt to, where they were colliding. I guess I can't see it too soon, but it looks like there was something that happened there to talk to one player and maybe also talk to the other one. You could see the defender kind of strutting back to her position, but
I think I would have shown a little bit more urgency in approaching, just to show people that I cared about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we got different takes on that. This is not going to be a black and white thing. It's going to be your refereeing style and your read on the game. But it's good to throw these out there and see the pros and cons of these different approaches. We got another quick clip here. This is a boys 16 match. And that's about it. Did anyone see any good ideas there? The hint is to keep your eyes on the referee for this one.
Yeah, he saw the passing lane that he was going to be running into it, pulled up. And
simple thing, right? No player, no coach, no parents ever going to thank you for this, but it matters, right?
Yeah.
It was a good, yeah.
Saw that, oops, I'm going to keep running. I'm going to get into the lane, and let's hold up there.
Yeah. And then you get going again, and you're not cut out too far. I think a nice subtle touch by Garth there. And on with it. We'll be on to the next clip. This is a girls 16 match. No, this is girls 14, sorry. They're tall. So I'll tell you this, there was no whistle there. What do you think about this collision, folks, on a girls 14 match? Any offense there?
So I will go out.
What's that, Charlie?
I said it looked like an elbow went and pushed her on the ground. I just couldn't really see, like right there.
Mm-hmm.
She hipped into her, took her off her lane.
Mm.
Yeah. And she kind of goes around like a pinball, right?
Yeah. But but which way was Orange going? Orange was going Go the opposite way. Okay.
There's an advantage there, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So
you might have wanted to
where...
indicate that there was an advantage there. That would probably be helpful.
Yeah. Is this so? I trust you all have seen the field divided into thirds, and we talk about where you're most likely to award advantage. Is this in a space where we'd normally say award advantage there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's it's not the attacking third, but the ball has gone into the attacking area, and the girl's coming away with the ball. I mean, it's definitely not in the defensive third, right?
Yeah, the defensive third and the
yeah.
offensive third. If there's a great shot opportunity, then you want to award the foul. If there's not, an opportunity for a goal scoring advantage. But here you'd want to, I guess we missed the last part of that clip. I guess you can probably award still a foul in that position depending on what happens in the next split seconds of when this clip stops.
Right, I think
because you can still be with that player and be like, I think there's enough time right there to make a confident decision if you award the foul there or if you award the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Right, did that player come away?
Either way, still, like you're talking about managing a game, managing a crowd, you want to make sure that you're on top of that situation and talking to the players too, if you allow that advantage to go and you allow that situation not to be called within a foul.
Right.
So what's going to convince us to award advantage in this situation? What's going to make advantage a good idea here?
If that player gets around
a good idea?
that defender at the last minute right there, that defender right there where it stops, if she gets around her and has a clear path kind of to the goal, I think that's where the advantage is good. Right now the pass goes, she's open, but is there advantage gained from that? I think if she gets around that player, boom, you award the advantage. If not, you award the foul.
Right. If that materializes there and she turns the corner, she turns that defender and gets around, then there was a good advantage. If that ball is cleared out of bounds, maybe you want to call it back and give that foul.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, and that's where I think that we I think somebody might go, oh, the defender kicked the ball out of bounds, and so let's just give the throw in, and that's a decision to make. Like, do you want to give the throw in down there? Or do you want to say no, advantage didn't occur, you're going to give it a free kick? What's more advantageous to the attacker there? I mean, really, it's 2 to 3 seconds. That's what it says. That is a long time. It really is. It's a lot longer than you think. 2 to 3 seconds could be 30 yards down the field or 40 yards down the field.
But also knowing your teams,
What's that?
I said also, but knowing your teams, obviously, if I know that team doesn't have a good leg, if I was to call the foul, and obviously they got a 20-yard mark up on a throw-in, I would say throw-in. I mean, give the advantage to the team because I know that they can't kick that far, but I know on the throw-in that they could probably have a better advantage on the throw-in.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Yeah, that 2 to 3 second range where we wait and see if anyone thinks that's not a long time. On your next game during an attack, stop and stand still for 2 to 3 seconds, and then tell me how far behind play you are when you get going again.
It's a long time.
You're probably going to be a little ways behind.
I would say also the one other thing to consider there is, they're a little further up the field and they got a throw in, but do you want to make a statement? Hey, that was a foul. I saw it. We're bringing it back and we're going to give that foul because it was significant. Like, hey,
all right. I think you all get that one. I think you guys covered that pretty well. It's good to see. Here's another one. there is a whistle on this one, so I will let you know when it goes. So right there's a firm whistle. And then a couple quick blasts again.
You tell them it's a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play that clip again.
Yeah, we'll come back around to it. This is a girls 19 match. So yeah, do we see some good ideas here? I for one love how close he is to play. He identifies it as a situation to watch, and he is correct.
Yeah, he's so close. He totally sells it, and there's hardly any beef. Because and just to pile on the field session that we did not have earlier, I love the way he backs away from the air. Like, yeah, I called it. I'm backing away. Not anyway. It's well.
And why don't you elaborate on why you think that's a good idea? Because it's a subtle thing that doesn't often get discussed.
So we talked about that, and Cindy.
And let me show it.
Yeah, go ahead and show it, and it's great. He's like, okay. The one thing he doesn't do is pick up the ball, but that's because keeper got it in her hands.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that good? It's because he's getting, actually, I know we talked about this, getting off the field of play. Let the players kind of beef about it. Otherwise, they're going to surround you, and you've made your call. You're backing away from the conflict, and you're kind of letting it settle. And now he comes back in, like, okay, we're going to conduct the penalty kick. The player already knows that she can set the ball, and then he clears the area and gets back into his position to conduct the penalty kick. It's really well executed all around, in that he makes the call, gets to a position of, I can see everybody, I can see everything, and then conducts the procedure for the penalty.
Yeah, generally well executed. You know, we all get into situations where there's confusion over our call, not through any fault of our own. We could point it very clearly. And so he identifies. They don't know what's going on, so he gives a couple quick hits on his whistle again. He's explaining verbally, holds on to his penalty kick signal. And just look at the agreement that he gets. I mean, when does a keeper say, oh, okay, I guess it is a penalty kick?
I know, it's a really incredible. The immediate, I mean, just the incredibly quick compliance to the call.
Yeah.
It really
command
is.
presence does great things.
Right?
I got bad news for you, though. It is hard to teach. Yeah. Good clip of somebody who knows a fair bit about what they're doing here. We will get started over. All right. I got, what is this? Number 5. I think this is number 5 for us. I'll say there's no whistle on this one. So let's see if that's a good idea. I've got 2 area Q referees back to back. What do we think? Good idea? Any good ideas here?
Well, he certainly was not in playing distance of that ball. But that's a call that doesn't look like it's. He's shielding, not in playing distance. However, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of a pushback. Right? Like the players seem to be accepting it.
It doesn't seem like the player would have been able to get to the ball before it went out anyways.
Agreed. That's a really good point
Mhm.
too. But they
Maybe
also
would have
aren't
been a
decent
good
about it.
little conversation, a short word with them.
Yeah, I would have liked that.
It
I
probably
would've liked-
wasn't a good idea on the defender's part, right?
It wasn't
The
a good
defender
idea
in
on
white.
the defender's part, but also the ref. I totally agree with Cindy there. I mean, a word to the defender like, "Hey, you got to be in playing distance. You know,
Mhm.
don't shield
Well,
unless you can play it." I mean, there was no real need for
Well-
him to do it because the player wasn't going to get on it.
I think, to be honest, if you look at the ball and the player, he's within playing distance, but you look at the first defender. The first defender kind of sticks out a leg, and again, the judgment call. Are you going to make that call to make it a penalty, or are you not? Because I think it's the first defender is the guy who actually crosses the infraction level.
Yeah, I got to disagree with you that he's in playing distance.
All right.
He's clearly not.
But he's closer to the ball than the other player. He's within playing distance. Look at this. The first player. The first player is the one who actually throws a leg out and actually makes contact with the player.
Is he cute?
Sorry, guys. My mouse just stopped working.
Are we there?
I thought you were just playing with your laser pointer.
No, I got the laser point. Oh, there we go. I got it back.
We can see
mean,
it. Maybe you can't.
He's clearly
Yeah.
not within playing distance, even if he's closer to the ball.
I mean, what is defined as playing distance? Look at the player
Playing
number
distance
3
is
right there.
one
Look
step-
at the number
one
3. He's impeding
doesn't-
him. He's impeding him. The first player's
Correct.
impeding him. The first
So is the
player's
second.
impeding him, not the player who's the second defender. The first
The
defender.
second
is what I'm
defender is
saying.
impeding him more. What is playing distance?
Mm.
Playing distance, I thought was clearly defined as.
But the
one
other
step-
player's looking at the ball. He's within playing. Look at the number 3
He's
right now.
not in playing distance. He can't get there in a step. He is clearly not in playing distance. So we have a now we have a
So you
discussion
have
about
two
what playing
of
distance
them.
is.
Well, look where the defender who's going to go to the ball. Look where his
Yeah.
eyes turn. We go forward a couple of steps, and all of a sudden, he's not looking at the ball anymore. He turns and looks at the player instead.
Right.
That's always a warning sign, right?
Correct. I mean, I think we need to. I mean, forget the decision here, but there is a definition of what within playing distance means. I mean, it isn't being closer to the ball than the defender. If you're 25 yards from the ball and the defender's 22 yards from the ball, he's not in playing distance.
But I think that's a shorter distance than most plays would happen. I'm more worried about the first infraction of the player not even playing the ball. Look, he's he's kind of blocking the player, grabbing the player, turns and kicks the player. If you look at number 3.
I don't disagree with you.
Matt, having seen the beginning of this clip, I would have a different opinion because both players turned suddenly and turned into each other there.
Right.
If you see what's happening in the build-up to that, but we don't have the advantage of seeing that here.
Right. I don't disagree that he impeded him, but that may not be an infraction.
No, I'm just saying it looks like it's impeding more because that player is completely turned. His back is turned to the ball.
But they look
at
like
least
they look like they are competing for it, and he's run in front of him.
Hmm.
Second player is clearly trying to shield him off the ball while being completely away, 10 feet from the ball. completely cannot play it. But I think the greater thing here is that nobody beefs about it. The ref should say something to that defender, maybe both of them.
So what good ideas do we see here? We've done a lot of looking at the players. Has anyone looked at the referee?
I think it was a good no call, but he should have talked to the players. But I think it is a good no call. I mean, you're going to call a penalty kick on that for impeding with contact?
Unfortunately,
this occurred back
happened.
before.
Yeah, before that.
Before that could be a PK.
I was going to say, it kind of looks from the way he's consulting with his watch that we might be close to the end of the match, and he decides that the quicker restart is going to be the goal kick. Maybe he decided that the player wouldn't have gotten to the ball.
Right.
But you see how he does not stop. This ball is pretty much over the goal line when most of this starts. And do you notice he even picks up his pace a little bit? You see that just a couple quick steps there. He says, "Oh, I need to stay close on this." He's not shutting down. I think call or no call, he's putting himself in the right place, right? And we talked about reading the game.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is one of those situations I don't think you really want to see on the field because it's a tough decision, especially with the current laws where this could be a penalty kick. This is up for consideration for a penalty kick. Under the current laws, if they do impede with contact. So this is not. Was that a good idea? Not really on the part of the defenders. They could have much more cleanly managed this ball out of play. But that being said, we don't want to see it. Here's another similar example. This is I think this is a boys 14 match. This is an extra team. No, I think this is 16. Yeah. Another kind of nonsense play, right? Not one we really want to see. And I'll just say there was no whistle until there. He said, just make sure we got this right. We got a corner kick, everyone. So were there good ideas here?
It's a good
Maybe let's
idea
hear
to
from
take
someone
out
new.
your frustrations.
You want to hear from Charlie or the Mayshaks?
Yes, please.
I don't know. Well, it's only me now because my mom left. But
Okay.
I think orange number 5. Seems like nonsense to me to just do that. The ball's going out of play anyways, and you do that. So if you're not gonna whistle, then at least maybe talk to the player because that's just not really called for, and the ball is basically out. Even if it might have been out, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's going real fast.
Yeah, it is hard to
But
tell.
probably just talk to the player if you're not going to blow that whistle.
Mm-hmm. Well, why do you think 5 orange gets so frustrated here?
That was there like a little push right there?
Mm-hmm.
Was there? Yeah, I think so. I
There
think there was a
build
little
up here,
push.
right?
Yeah.
He gets muscled off the ball here. I don't know if anyone would say that's illegal, but it's not going to make him happy,
It was
right?
illegal. He got out
His arm goes out. I don't know.
Too bad we aren't at the right angle to make the call, huh?
Yeah.
Here, let me give you a little secret. Having picked this clip. Oh, it's stuck. There we go. Hold on. I'll get it figured out. Here. All right. All right, watch this. Just as they come on screen here.
There's some
See
arm
that?
right there. Yeah. There's a little hello. We call that where we come from.
These,
Hello.
these two run 30 yards together, don't they, Chandler?
What?
So look right here, right? It's
Uh-huh. Oh,
five
yeah, I
orange.
saw that little push off right as soon as I get into the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
And it's like, all right, I just got muscled off the ball once.
They call that the Chandler push off.
Muscled off the ball twice. And then, the third team's playing it smart. By the way,
Wow.
fantastic job on the AR and the referee for spotting this as a corner kick. Because that's all it is right there. Because it's all touched by the player in white, all up to here. I mean, I don't know why the player in white's shielding it out, because he clearly touched it last. I don't know why orange thought to touch it. Good job on the AR and the referee for getting that. So you see some frustration building, right?
Yeah.
So what were some good ideas we had here?
A no call.
You saw that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Look at the referee's hand. Oh. That's probably the right decision to make a no call at this level, right? Extra boys 16 match. Make him play through
on
that.
the reverse side, if he makes the call at that point, I think he can sell it also. I mean, I think you have confidence in both realms, but at the same time, it's all how you manage, right?
Yeah. And see how the referee reads it. He's got a casual jog, and then he has his no call, and then all of a sudden he starts going. He realizes he's got to be there. And it can be tough to always be there at this kind of match. But he gets there in the end. So whatever he's going to do, he can sell it, right? Yeah. Clearly communicates again. I like it. That's why I picked the clip. All right. So, was that a good idea? When we get back on the field, this is going to be a good question to ask ourselves. And we're gonna have to look at, some things are obvious, right? Did I need a caution there? Did I need a send off? Did I need a call? Some things are a little less obvious. So we looked at a clip of a referee just stopping so that they wouldn't block the passing lane, and I think that was a good idea. So on the flip side, if you get hit, was I that? Why was I in the way of the ball? I've got a lot of space to occupy on this field. Why do I have to occupy that space? So it's a good thing to question. And yeah, so this year we're going to focus on being critiquing ourselves, which can be difficult. You can get stuck in your head, but the good thing is with Team 3, you got a whole group to help you self-critique. But let's be critical. Let's think about being proactive, thinking about doing things that make sense. Start saying, start critiquing everything you're doing on the field in some sort of methodical way. Is this adding value to the game for the players? Is this something that needs to be done for the game? Is this part of my job, or is it just something I've always done and maybe it's something I need to consider? And the rewriting of the laws is great at making us reconsider all sorts of things. So yeah, I hope that was valuable to everybody. We're going to try to host more of these since we can't do our field sessions at present. We'll try to throw in a few more of these and hopefully keep the groups coming, keep the participation lively on these. But I want to thank everybody for attending, and hopefully we'll be back out on the field in no time and enjoying ourselves and making good decisions, having good ideas. Thank you.